Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an interesting topic we're going to be tackling. I've been seeing recently, not even recently, almost every year this question arises, and the question is coding really hard to learn? So with that, I'm going to come at that question from the side of a web developer, from the aspect of a web developer. So I'm not going to use like data science or data analysis or things like that, where yes, you use code, but that's more on a technical side, like that's more data. So I'm not going to tackle it from that perspective, because I'm not a data scientist and I'm not a data analyst. I am a web developer, a junior web developer. So I can, and I am self-taught, so I can kind of shed more light on getting started as a coder, quote unquote, or a programmer, quote unquote, from the web developer, from a web development standpoint. So with that said, let's jump right into it. So is coding really hard? Yes, it is. Is it hard to learn? Yes, it is. Now, that shouldn't discourage you, because if you're an English speaker and you want to learn Russian, is Russian hard? Yes, it is. But for people who speak Russian, is Russian hard? No, it's just a language to them. Like, it's just their language. So when you see people who are really, really good at writing code, they practice it. Like, they're not born with the innate ability to write code, but they're around it for so long that they hone their skills and are really, really good at it. Now, I'm a junior developer, so I'm not even going to say I am a 10xer or a genius when it comes to writing code. But starting from literally level 0 to where I'm at now, I know how long I have to put the work in to progress to get to where I'm at. So learning how to code, yes, it is hard, but there are things you can do to make things easier for you. Like, for example, start writing code rather than thinking about writing code, if that makes sense. Like, when I started out, I had to start out with HTML, which is not really a programming language, but it shows you how the web works. So it shows you how writing on a web interface works, or a web page works. Meaning, if you have a blank canvas, how do you fill up that blank canvas? But if you just start out and you want to go the route, and as I said, this is coming from the route of, from the perspective of a web developer. If you want to start out, you jump right into JavaScript or into React or into Next.js framework, for example, you're going to be overwhelmed. Learning the code at that point is like going from not knowing how to speak English properly to trying to learn Latin. Like, you already don't even know how to speak one language well, you want to jump into Latin. Or you don't know how to speak Spanish properly and you want to learn how to speak German. Like, they might not correlate in terms of the languages, but you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, you have to start small. Start with HTML. Understand how the web page works, how the layout of a web page works. If I write hello world within a paragraph tag, how does it come out compared to how I write H1 header in a H1 heading tag? Things like that helps decrease the workload in terms of stress. Starting out like that helps reduce the amount of stress that you encounter when you actually start working with programming languages like JavaScript, for example, because you kind of already know how the layout of the web works, and then you're now trying to add functionality to that web page. Also, we live in this world of AI now where it's not really difficult to learn a lot of things. So if I wanted to learn, let's say you already understand HTML and now you want to jump into JavaScript, it's not super difficult with the help of AI. Write a simple web page layout, like design a simple web page layout with JavaScript, with HTML and CSS, and then with the help of ChatGPT, tell it what you want that web page to do, and then you're able to compare side by side with your code and how ChatGPT, for example, or any other AI would add that functionality to it. So what you want to do is, rather than watching hundreds of tutorials on YouTube, now you can understand and tell the AI software to explain in detail what's going on. And then you can now try and replicate that process with another project rather than just watching YouTube videos. And this is coming from someone who creates YouTube videos to help beginners or intermediate developers build projects. You can't just watch my video because they're hours long and expect to just know how to code. You have to do the grunt work. So it's like trying to go to school and having an exam. You can't just study just the study guide and say, hey, I understand the concept of that pertains to that whole class. So the class you're taking. So if I'm taking biology, for example, and the professor gives me a study guide, that's great. But if I pass that study guide, that doesn't mean it's all encompassing. It's just a way to understand what's coming next. So you can use ChatGPT as that study guide. So that way you can go back to your own project and incorporate what you've learned into the bigger picture, and then you'll be able to understand better how to code. That's how I reason with ChatGPT or whatever AI software I use. If I'm trying to build a project out and I already have the groundwork, I've built it out, and now I want to learn how to incorporate something that I just thought of or I've never done before, or like I can't find a resource on YouTube to do it, you can ask ChatGPT to break down the concept for you in like JavaScript or something to help you understand how to implement that in your code. By doing so, you're forced to replicate that same system rather than just watch someone do it for you and you copy it. You can also make that mistake on ChatGPT or whatever AI software you use, for example, where you just tell it to do something and just copy it. But if you're trying to learn how to code, you're most likely going to have to read through it and understand what's going on. If you ask the AI software to build something for you or to help you with learning how to code and you just replicate it, and meaning you just copy and paste it, you've not really even tried to learn how to code. You've just tried to get the work done as fast as possible. So if you're really serious about learning how to code, whatever questions you have when you watch a tutorial on YouTube, mine, whoever's, if you're not able to talk to that author, for example, you're not able to talk to that creator, whatever questions you have for that creator is the mindset you should be in when you ask the AI software to help you build something, because you can actually interact with that tutor rather than watching me code and not being able to interact with me saying, hey, why did you do it that way rather than this way? So that's the AI perspective on things. Now, for those of you who are also trying to learn data science and algorithms, AI is also a good way to learn how to code. So data science and algorithms is daunting. It sucks. I don't like it. Now, there might be people out there that like it. I don't. But the best way to learn how to do it is repetition. And AI is a great way to do that. Let's say you go on LeetCode, for example, and you pick an easy question. If you get it right or you get it wrong, you're still learning. So let's say you get it right, you move on to the next thing, and you get the next one and you're stumped. The next one, you're stumped, you don't know how to proceed. You're able to ask ChatGPT, or once again, whatever AI, I just know ChatGPT because I tend to use ChatGPT in my everyday life. So with ChatGPT, you can ask it to show you how to go about solving that problem. When you solve that problem, the great thing about it is now you can ask ChatGPT to replicate that type of question and give you, let's say, 5 more examples. So for example, how do you truncate a string or something? Now, if you couldn't figure out how to do that, you can now ask ChatGPT, all right, explain this to me. When it does, rather than you just taking it at face value like, oh, I've already learned that concept now, you can ask ChatGPT to give you 3 different variations of that question so that you can solve it. And then when you solve it, you can then ask ChatGPT, hey, did I do this right? And it's gonna further like tell you, oh, you did it right, but this is a faster way of doing it. That's a way to learn with AI. Now, in conclusion, learning to code is hard. It's daunting because it's a new language. Whatever language you try to learn is going to be hard. When Spanish speakers try to learn English, it's hard. When English speakers try to learn Spanish, it's hard. But the more you try, the more you practice, it's going to get easier. I'm not here to recommend any like YouTube tutorials or whatever to help you get better at it. You're able to find it within my catalog. And also within, like, if you just search YouTube for example, Python tutorials or whatever, Python projects. But that is just a drop in the bucket, because learning how to build a project doesn't necessarily mean you're learning how to code. You're just learning how to build that project. So using tools such as ChatGPT, YouTube tutorials that teach you data structures and the algorithms that go with it are ways to learn how to code properly. Everything else is just using those skills you've already learned to build something that's cool and amazing that you want to build. So that's how you can look at it. Not everyone who codes is a guru at coding. You're probably smarter than I am. So not everyone who knows how to write in a programming language is super smart. It's like saying everyone who speaks English is smart. If you're coming from an area that doesn't speak English, you're not going to look at someone who speaks English as, oh my God, they can speak English, they're super smart. No, you're going to look at them like, oh, they can speak a different language than I can. That's how you look at it. So don't be petrified when it comes to learning how to code. Coding is great. Coding teaches you how to be patient until you get to a more intermediate advanced level. Then you just want to rip your hair out because of all the bugs and stuff. But forget I said that. Coding is great. Learning how to code is even better because you feel a sense of accomplishment when you do it. Whether it's writing hello world, printing it, or whatever, in your console, in your terminal, whatever, there's a good feeling that comes with it, like, oh my God, I understand how to do something that's foreign to you. So whether it's 2025, 2026, 2027, learning to code is always going to be hard if you've never done it before. But for every challenge, once you overcome it, you're gonna feel good about it, and it's going to help you get better in life. This video is not about, is coding still necessary or is coding still worth learning? That's not what this is about. This is about, is learning to code difficult? And the answer is yes. But there's steps to take to mitigate that difficulty, that process. There's steps to take to make it less daunting, to make it less terrifying. And with all that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in whatever next video we decide to make. Peace.